What's up, everybody? This is your boy Metahuman Macaluco, and on today's New Year's Day special, we are starting strong this year. This is going to be a sentimental interview. I'm glad to have my teacher, my mentor, the man who has helped me almost throughout my entire life, with the exception of my dad, Mr. Mitchell Reiner.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pleased to be here. It's great to see you again. Although I haven't seen you in person in a long time, I have spoken to you and I follow you, and I'm very proud of your accomplishments as the Metahuman.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So you've been a teacher for about approximately 25 years?
30th year this year.
30th year?
Yeah. 11 in Broward County and 19 over 2 schools private.
Okay. So what made you decide to go into teaching?
Okay, so my grandparents lived in Royal Palm Beach.
Okay.
In a private area off of Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. And, you know, these are all retirees. I knew all of the different neighbors over the years, and I would be coming back from college to visit Grandma and Grandpa. Well, one day there were a couple of grandkids of one of the neighbors in the street playing ball.
Right.
So they're playing football, and it's just the two of them. And I go over, I introduce myself, and we start to where I'm the all-time quarterback, and I'm throwing to both of them, and teaching them how to catch, teaching them how to throw. I think I was 15 or 16 at the time. And this relationship with those boys grew with other boys that were coming to visit. And I remember one year I was there, it was during one of the NFL playoff games, and we played outside, and then we went into into their grandma's house, and they fed us, and it was a thing that I was coming, and on different occasions they'd have a barbecue lunch because I was coming to play ball with the boys.
Okay.
And so this idea of teaching and working with young people, that's where it originated from. That, along with the fact that I have in my possession, never to be used, I have an associate's degree from Palm Beach Community College of a 2.2 GPA in business. It was horrible. I was working full-time. I was going to school, and my heart was not in it. And it was all because I listened to other people. Meaning, there's a test that I took in high school. I believe it was called the ASVAB. It was a military test. And I performed very high in business, administrative things. And my dad's like, oh, he could be an officer. And my mother, of course, didn't want me to go into the military. And so everybody's like, well, if you're not going to go in the military, but you tested really well for this, and you're in the marketing club at school, surely you should be a business person. You should go to college for business. So I listened to everybody, and my heart wasn't in it. And it took me a long time to finally get out of there. And then on the first night of my junior year in business at a different school, I understood the teacher, Luke, but the book, which was this thick, and I got to read X number of chapters I didn't understand any of it. So I immediately closed the book. That night, having already been to class, I said, Mom, Dad, this isn't for me. And I said, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to re-enroll and take some classes to get my grades up. And I'm going to retake this and that test, and I'm going to be a teacher.
Okay.
And I said, I like working with young people. I think I can be good at it. And that is the long and short of how the inspiration of standing up for what you know to be right, which is a common theme in my life, and taking ownership, because as I tell my students, even to this day, guys, I wake up at 5:15 every morning for a job I don't have to be at till 7:45, but I'm here at 7. And I'm here at 7, and I wake up at 5:15 because I want to do a good job for you.
Yes.
And I want our day to be meaningful. And I want you to understand that if you're going to wake up at 5:15 for a job that you hate, then life is going to suck. There's a great feeling I get when a student who's struggling, you have that light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And the smile and the feeling of appreciation and success. Yes, there's a lot of other stuff that comes along with teaching, especially in this age. I'm not the same teacher that I was when I taught with you.
Right.
In a lot of ways, I'm better. There's more that is expected. We have to deal with AI. We have to deal with a different set of problems in a private school. But even so, if you have a team and you're part of the team,
right,
and everyone is pulling the rope in the same direction, then you got something. And I go to school knowing that I'm teaching with some great people. That is not to say that when we were at the Ridge, we had a fine cast.
No, I remember Miss Maxon and Mr. Brown. They were great teachers as well.
And even beyond that.
Also, shout out Miss Engasser.
Yes. The crew that was at ERE in those 7 years that I was there, in argument, could be considered the finest group of educators I've ever been around. But the problem was not them, and it wasn't the parents, it wasn't the children. It was at the top.
Right.
Let's just be kind about it and say that. But the people that I work with, I've always said it, if I can be considered on the Mount Rushmore by my colleagues and my peers, because we don't get to see each other teach.
Yeah.
Which, why is that? But by sheer reputation, by work ethic, when you stop by, if I'm considered to be on the Mount Rushmore, then I know that I'm holding my own, and that's all that I could ever ask. My rapport with my students, listen, I got over 480 Facebook friends, and half of them are students that I've taught from back in the day to now, and we wait till they graduate high school before any sort of contact is broached. We don't want anybody to have a canary about anything.
Right.
And it's nice to know I've got former students who are teachers. I have one who is a vice principal. I've got doctors. I got sports broadcasters. I've got an array. Not to mention the fact that they're all having children, right?
Yeah.
So I feel kind of like an uncle or a grandpa, depending. So it's nice, it's nice. I wish that there was a way to, and maybe this is the way to just let them know that I'm alive and well, besides Facebook, of course, and Instagram, and just be like, you are missed. And if you ever need me, it goes without saying that you can reach out to me. You know how to get in touch with me. Messenger's awesome. And I'm here to listen. I'm always here to serve. And I remember the good times.
We appreciate you, Mr. Reiner. So during that time of you struggling with business and you realizing that you wanted to teach, did you ever consider coaching at all?
I did. And as a lifetime LA Laker fan. I had read Pat Riley's book, and Pat Riley is my coach. If I need to win one game all time, he's the one. I know he's part of the Miami Heat culture, and he's done great things for this community. But to me, he's always a Laker, and he's finally getting his statue in February. But I did consider coaching, and there were a few gigs that I did off the side where I did a after school program where I coached soccer at a private school up here, and I did a birthday for a student who I had at camp who eventually became my math student, and he recently got married. So I'm, it's a small world. Right?
Yes.
But I guess I didn't want to just be the stereotypical PE coach. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got pals who are PE coaches. I think that I had more to offer than just pigeonholing myself, and that's why I went to be an elementary teacher. I didn't set off to be Mr. Math. That sort of came about by accident,
right,
and out of necessity. When we were together and I was involved in your life directly, I taught all the subjects pretty much, and then I started to be that tutor person that people would go to, and then eventually when I left the Ridge, there was a position open for middle school math, and I took it. I took the state test. It was stuff that I was teaching the day before,
right?
So there wasn't a lot of preparation for it. Obviously passed the first time, and I have done nothing else. I gave away all my language arts stuff. I gave away all my social studies and science stuff to other friends. I said, God bless you, but I guess this is my path.
Okay. Now, do you still struggle with certain types of maths yourself?
Oh, sure. There's I tutor algebra. That's about as high as I want to go. So I don't want to say I'm pigeonholed, but I prefer what I've been doing, which is the pre-algebra, although 6th and 7th grade and even to a smaller, younger kids, we can handle it. Right. But even when I'm tutoring someone in algebra, if it's something that I haven't done in a while, the good news is I know how to read. So I can find the answer without necessarily cheating and giving me the answer.
Right.
So I end up with that. And of course I have an algebra book at home. But I also have the student themselves. The student then becomes the guide. So they're telling me, okay, well, this is what the teacher, and they show me what they have on their screen through the sheer magic of technology and Zoom. And they lead me to it, and then it clicks, it because it's been a while, it's like a song you haven't heard in a while, but I've heard this before, I've heard this, oh yeah, and then now I become the teacher again. So it's like they take me there to a certain point, and then I am there to get them across the finish line.
Gotcha.
In some cases. In other cases, it's like, I love this topic, I wish I could do this all day. Polynomials and negative exponents are my jam. So, yeah, it works.
Have you ever had to refuse a student who came to you for help in regards to geometry or calculus?
I have never taken calculus in my life. I know one trick in trigonometry, and as far as geometry goes, I can do chapter 1 in geometry. And I have been begged over the years by students that I adore, and their parents and their friends, and I've had to say I don't feel comfortable taking money for something that I am below my standard for.
Yes.
There was only one time where the parent was like, we don't care, we need you. we need you, and and it'll all, we've got the book, but we got you. We trust that you can get this person over the hump, because right now they're having a hard time, and they need that Mr. Reiner fatherly push. They need what you bring, not the math. Because I mean, you can teach something. Anybody can teach something, I suppose. It's all the it's all the metaphors and stories and world lessons, life lessons that I bring into the math on a daily basis, that I guess, without trying to break my own arm, patting myself on the back, I guess that's what makes me a little different. So I did do it that one time, and and she is brilliant, and I keep track of her, and she's married with a child, and the father is very successful and great. So yeah.
Awesome. What would you say your favorite teachers were growing up?
Okay, so I had 3, maybe 4. So I don't remember a lot of this first one, but my mother, God rest her, would always say that how much I loved my kindergarten teacher.
Right.
And I don't have any bad memories of that. These aren't in order, by the way. My college public speaking teacher, I got an A. He asked me why this comes so easy to me, or so it seemed. And I said, I just talk about what I know. You give us the assignment, and I pick something that, so like I did a demonstration video comparing Star Trek Next Generation to Star Trek the original. And I had crappy VCR things, clips, and it blue screens and whatnot. But I talked about what I know. I pretended to give Harrison Ford a Lifetime Achievement Award back in the day, and I had a little cuckoo trophy to give to him for his work in Indiana Jones and obviously in Star Wars and other movies. I would talk about the rivalry between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I would talk about things I liked. I talked about things I knew. My high school 12th grade math teacher, and I have tried to find this woman over the years, and I'm not trying to stalk, but I just wanted to tell her thanks, because I had a rotten junior year, and I had to retake Algebra 2. That's right. I failed math. And I tell this to my students, and it's very true. So I had to take Algebra 2 again, and they put me in a class with a bunch of sophomores. And I felt like a dunderhead. And this was a different teacher. She was a younger teacher. I worked my tail off for her. And I got an A, Luke. I got an A. I felt so good. And I learned all the things that I should have learned with the other teacher, who wasn't motivating, was the opposite of everything I stand for at the time and to this day. But my favoriteest, most specialist teacher, who is in heaven, her name was Christine Smith. She was my English teacher as a junior at Twin Lakes High School. I loved her. She was like another mom. We would go to her classroom, and she didn't put the lights on. She had the window power, and there were posters, and you'll love this. She had posters of Freddy Krueger and Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the wall.
Okay.
And she created a mood. We were reading about the Salem witch trials, the Crucible. And she says, okay, I want you to read this part that John Proctor is saying. If you don't say it with great enthusiasm, I'm going to be mad at you. I've never heard a teacher say, because there were bad words that a high schooler should, or anyone in school should be saying. and she wanted me to say them with fervor and gusto. And so I stood up and I read the thing and I got into it. She had an older daughter a year ahead of me who I was in some elective classes with. I was in the same grade as her middle daughter, and then a year ahead or so of the younger son. And we'd go there, we'd get donuts in the morning, we'd play cards in her room and listen to music. It was a very welcoming experience. There were times where some of the other kids were mean to her. And although I would not classify myself as a goody-goody, but I was a defender.
Right.
I was just like...
An avid defender.
Right. I was like, let's go. Stop being a jerk to her. Let's move it along.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to fight anybody. I was just trying to show respect.
Right.
To someone who had inspired me. Well, years pass. I become a teacher, and the first person I try to reconnect with is her. And I wanted her to know I became a teacher. And she was so proud of me to hear that I was a teacher. And there were a couple moments where I was looking for an improvement in classroom management. She gave me some ideas. She'd been so worldly. She's the reason why my second class at Eagle Ridge did the poker chip behavior with the football teams, and she is the reason why we had the math integrated into these bank books for behavior and the team of the day and the team of the month and all this kind of thing. It all came from a nonverbal cue with the plink of the poker chip into a cup where the kids didn't know who got what, or they didn't know what color chip, because the white ones were like worth $1 and the blue ones were like 65 cents, and then the red ones were negative. And they didn't know what I grabbed. They just heard that somebody got something. So it promoted them to keep working.
Right.
And I used that during that year, and it was a fantastic year. I still talk to some of those students and their parents to this day. So with Christine, eventually we got her to come over and meet my wife and Courtney, my daughter, and I cooked for her, and I have a couple pictures in my phone. And unfortunately, the world is a little sadder knowing that it's been about 5 years or so, maybe 7. I lose track, but I think about her, and the fact that my room is Avengers and Marvel and DC everywhere. Where do you think I got the inspiration to make a mood for my classroom? My classroom looks like a 11-year-old boy's bedroom minus the bed.
Right.
With all of the different cool things that we have, and I owe it to Christine.
So Miss Christine Smith was the original Mr. Reiner before there was Mr. Reiner.
If I'm the OG, she's the uber ultra mega OG.
No, it's like Alan Scott and Hal Jordan.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
So that's awesome. It's always good to see where your inspirations come from. But since you brought up Marvel and DC,
yeah,
what would you prefer? Were you always a Marvel guy or a DC guy?
Growing up, we had the Super Friends, Saturday morning cartoons, which these children who do this dumbass 6-7 stuff don't understand what a Saturday morning cartoon is. But you wake up, you get your bowl of cereal, and you sit there and you watch the Smurfs and Scooby-Doo, and you watch Tweety and Roadrunner and all that, and then you got eventually you'd get the Laugh Olympics, and then you got your Tarzan Batman hour, but you also had the Super Friends. So you had Superman, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Then they brought in the teens with the dog, and then they got rid of them and they brought in the Wonder Twins, who they still can't figure out how to make a movie for or a television show. So okay, stop that.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Did you ever watch Justice League Unlimited?
Okay, so yes, as we move beyond 70s and 80s, then they started having things like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with Iceman and Firestar, which was so good. And for those 2 or 3 seasons, it was great. When they took Iceman and Firestar off and they just tried to make it Spider-Man, the animation was not very good, and it was just bad. But let's not forget that you and I belonged to the superhero club at Eagle Ridge, and
can never forget.
So long story short, I wrote a grant, I got some money, we started a club, and I put some people on the track of the superhero, and we wrote a comic book, which unfortunately was not the way I wanted, because again, administration had their own ideas. But we got our first glimpse at Comic-Con in Fort Lauderdale, and that is where I got to speak to the legendary Kevin Conroy, God rest his soul. I asked him 2 or 3 questions, and he was very gracious. And we got free tickets for the group. We were getting free comic books from the neighborhood comic stores when they read about what we were doing. And so I say Kevin Conroy because Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and all the other voice talent for the Batman animated series is still one of the most amazing superhero animated things. I mean, because prior to that, the coolest thing was Christopher Reeve in Superman 2.
Right.
I saw that in 1978 with my father in West Palm Beach, and Christopher Reeve, another one we've lost, another OG. So early on, Luke, it was a lot of DC. And then 1989 comes and you get Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson and Prince with the soundtrack, and you're like, okay. But then along the way, you got the corporate greed, and they want to use agendas to make a type of movie that sells toys.
Right.
I don't give a damn about toys right now. I care about stories, and I want to be entertained, and I want there to be something. And that's when you had the X-Men come out. X-Men 1. Say what you want about Bryan Singer. He's a bad dude personally, but he did direct a very good movie. And with Avi Arad, who I'm not always a fan of, and young Kevin Feige, they put together and discovered some dude, Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Yeah, so they pulled him off the street, and they're like, no, you're going to be Wolverine. Okay. X2, prior to Days of Future Past, was the greatest X-Men movie ever.
Right.
I would put them right now probably on even footing, and you could argue that. Then you get into the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Spider-Man 1 was good and fun, but Doc Ock Spider-Man 2, 2002 I think it was.
It's 2004.
2004. I remember I was the teacher that would tell kids at the end of the class period, okay, I have a trailer for a movie. I'm going to show it to you now. And I felt like the coolest teacher on the planet.
Yes.
I would show my students. And if I had the ability to project it on the big screen, I would. Otherwise, I'd be like, all right, everybody come around. I got something for you. And Alfred Molina and Toby and everything, that just worked out so well. But then Spider-Man 3 came out, and they wanted to sell toys with Venom and stuff, with the director not really knowing as much about that character. He used more classic characters, and that put us on a trajectory.
I have a feeling Sam Raimi saw his mistakes, and he was able to kind of rectify them to a degree in Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness has some really good things and some things that make you go, huh. Like Timothy Chalamet and Willy Wonka. Huh, double huh.
Yes.
I like Sam Raimi. I liked him. I liked his take on on Wizard of Oz with James Franco. I thought that was a very interesting movie. Do I watch it all the time? No, but with all this wicked stuff, my wife and I did talk about that movie and like trying to figure out what's canon and what's not canon and all this kind of stuff. But getting back to as we stand here, and I'm 54 years old, I am wearing my I Am Groot t-shirt. I didn't know a thing about the Guardians of the Galaxy when they first premiered, but I know a bunch of stuff now. I think with the exception of Echo.
That's kind of shocking to me because I vividly remember having conversations about Adam Strange being your dad's favorite superhero.
He did like Adam Strange. I would say that the younger Mitchell or Mr. Reiner, I don't know what to call myself, definitely we started off on a DC trajectory. But then with so many failures in the DC world with Superman 4 and even Superman 3, I love Richard Pryor, but he didn't belong. The script was bad. The only thing good about that movie was Clark Kent fighting Superman in the junkyard. That was awesome.
Yes.
Other than that, that movie was terrible. Superman 4 introduces John Cryer as Lenny Luthor. That was pulled out of their rear ends. You gotta love Gene Hackman, God rest him, but no. Okay, that was a cash grab. It was a bad script. It had the right idea in terms of trying to save the planet, but again, poorly done. They never gave the Flash with John Wesley Shipp a chance after the one season on CBS in the 90s. That suit was so cool. And we watched it, and the only real villain that was in the Rogues Gallery was the Trickster, played by
Mark
Hamill, which they were smart enough to bring back for the Grant Gustin version. And let me tell you something about...
And in Justice League Unlimited.
Yes. We watched religiously, my wife and I. You cannot find much better than season 1 of CW's The Flash. Oh, wow. That one season was incredible. But it went on for 10. Each year, it got different.
Yes.
They tried too much too soon with Zoom being the Eobard. And although the whole mystery of who is the man behind the mask was cool, every year Flash has to lose his powers. Every year Flash has to get his powers. Everything has to revolve around Iris. And a lot of people bashed that woman for right or for wrong. And I don't fully understand it. All I know is that Grant should have been and should be James Gunn's Barry Allen. Because I saw the other Barry Allen, and we'll just leave it at that. But Marvel is, 2008, Robert Downey Jr., I am Iron Man. And, they did it right. They followed the formula of individual movies with little teasers at the end, an extra scene at the end to connect the interwovenness. And then after you had the Kenneth Branagh Thor, which I thought was really good, and established Loki as the trickster at the time. And the first Captain America movie, a lot of people take shots at it, but I thought it was, for a period piece, I thought that it was really good.
Yeah.
And then when you got all the Avengers together, other than the fact that Clint Barton was pretty much sidelined with the whole mind control thing, I thought it was a really good movie. And again, I was the teacher who was putting the trailers up on the screen on the computer boards. But Infinity War, Endgame, I could watch those for 24 hours straight, and you don't even have to pay me. You know.
Yes.
Did Marvel bite off more than they could chew in following phases? There are some good things. Shang-Chi gets underlooked, overlooked. We should take a moment to give praise to Chadwick Boseman, though. I mean, he is the Black Panther. He was the Black Panther, and it's a shame that he, had this horrible cancer, and he was a private man, and we gotta respect him for that. But the movie changed, and they're gonna recast him with this whole multiversal thing, and it might be the son aged up. We don't know, but I think that the actors around him, the director, and certainly Kevin, have done a really good job to honor him.
Yes. I have to agree.
I thought Civil War, for that fact, to introduce him in that way was great. People don't like Brie Larson for whatever reason. She's okay. I mean, I'm not like, oh my God, but I'm not like, ew, either. I'm just kind of like, okay, tell me a good story.
Yes.
And we'll go from there. We know the legal problems with the Hulk. He can't have his own movie because of some contract that was signed years ago with another studio. So he has to be a player in other people's movies, as he will be in Brand New Day, from what I've been told.
Yes. Supposed to be a three-way fight between him, Punisher, and Spider-Man.
Yes. Might be some mind control hearing Grey Hulk, so I don't know how he gets out of the Professor mode. But there have been some hits, certainly with Sony's help. The trio of Toby, Andrew, and Tom as the three Spider-Men during COVID. Considering that they couldn't interact in a certain way, I thought that they, not obviously they made their money, but it was a good movie, good nostalgia, and I'm looking forward to seeing them together in Secret Wars down the road. I liked She-Hulk, but I understand why people are upset. I love the Guardians. I think the biggest swing and a miss was Secret Invasion.
Yes, I have to agree. That was...
So, as much as I loved WandaVision, and as much as I loved Loki Season 1 and 2, and don't get me started about He Who Remains, because I really loved those scenes. The last episode of each season with Jonathan Majors and Tom Hiddleston. Oh my God, such good acting.
Yes.
But Secret Invasion was supposed to be the size of an Endgame, where it's a mystery, kind of like Winter Soldier, which also is a wonderful movie. And they tried to dilute it into this 6-episode ball of goo. And there was such potential that was wasted. Now, hopefully, with a soft reboot in 5 years, you could have a scenario where some of our beloved characters, whether they're X-Men or Fantastic Four or Avenger-style characters, maybe some of them have been Skrulls all along. We'll see if they go to the well on that. I mean, listen, if Simon Kinberg can do the Dumb Phoenix story for a third time,
yeah,
then they can revisit Secret Invasion on a much better scale.
Absolutely.
Some directors are hesitant about killing off characters. Joss Whedon killed Quicksilver off in his first go-round. Are we going to see that Pietro somewhere again? I don't know. Then we got the other Quicksilver, who's also, in the WandaVision. So we don't quite know, how these things play out. But look, Marvel's got my money. I've got most of my wardrobe is t-shirts from... I was wearing the I Hate You 3000 from Screen Crushes from Dr. Doom. Shout out to Reiner, Colton Ogburn. We also like Trey and Tasha on Married to the Real. The Struggle Nation those brothers are great, and Eric Voss. But you got to bring it down a little bit because you're just too happy too long. You got to bring it down a little bit. But we follow Ryan and Colton a lot, and Doug, and they make a lot of sense most of the time.
Right. Hell yeah. So this is, I'm going to derail the conversation a bit. During our time in the superhero club,
Yeah.
I forget this gentleman's name, but you had a huge comic book historical figure.
Alan Bellman,
thank you.
he wrote and worked on Captain America, Submariner, and Human Torch back, and he knew Stan. And I sent emails to Marvel. I got Joe Quesada to respond, and Stan was in his 90s and he was delicate, and I tried every which way to get you guys a phone call with Stan Lee. If I couldn't bring him to the Ridge, I wanted to put him on a voice call, and it just didn't work out. And that was probably the one thing that really irritated me the most, from comic book making aside, because then there's all sorts of layers to that. But
right,
I wanted you guys to really feel it, to have the man himself say something nice about the fact that you guys are up and coming comic book readers and explorers of the art and the story.
Right, and I sincerely appreciate that. I can't speak on every single student there, but I have a feeling that if they're watching this, they have that same sentiment regardless. Was Mike Supercon Broder familiar with you at the time, with you trying to get us into Comic-Con or Supercon?
I'm not familiar with the name, so
he's the guy who actually owns Supercon.
Okay, so I guess he read the article that was in the Herald or the Post or whatever, and they reached out to, I think they may have reached out to me directly, or they reached out to the school, and they were like, just send us a list of who's going, and we'll get you guys in for free. That's pretty much how it went down. Since then, I've been to other conventions. I think one of my fondest memories was more recent. I got to speak to Tony Todd.
Oh, that's sick. What was that at? MegaCon?
I think it was MegaCon. I got to meet and speak to Linda Blair.
Okay. Are you sure this wasn't Nightmare Weekend at GalaxyCon?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
It was a normal convention because I was in the same room as LeVar Burton.
Okay.
Ralph Macchio, William Zabka, and Martin Cove. We went to see Peter Capaldi. He was still the Doctor at the time, so this is 10 years.
Okay.
I couldn't afford signatures, but I was in the same room with Karen Gillan, and she is just beautiful. I don't care what anybody says. But the vampire in Fright Night, who played, I spoke with him.
Was he the guy with the long blonde hair like this, almost like Giles Flat Top?
He's the one who seduces the boy's girlfriend and is the neighbor next door. And
Fright Night.
Fright Night.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Lost Boys.
Yeah. He was very nice. I also spoke to Adam Nimoy. Yes, I spoke to Adam Nimoy there.
Oh, that's too sick.
So that was a good day. That was a very good day, despite the fact that they were charging an arm and a leg for a simple hot dog and chips in the lounge.
They always do that. It's like $5 or $6 for a little personal sized pizza that big.
Yeah. Prior to that, I'd been to a lot of Star Trek conventions. I had seen George Takei. Michael Dorn, who is by far one of my favorite characters. I have some great ideas for having a series where Worf is working at a mall and having to be Santa Claus.
Oh my god.
And giving children batliths all around the world. I saw Marina Sirtis, I saw Jonathan Frakes, I saw Brent Spiner. I won a trivia contest with some friends, and we got the blooper reel that they always are giving away and stuff like that. But I hadn't been anywhere like that until we got to go and I got to speak to Kevin Conroy.
That's so sick.
So I've lived a good life.
You're still living it.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Hell yeah. And you got your Eagle Ridge book with us.
This is the yearbook from 2005, so 2005, 2006. So I don't look at these all the time, but for the occasion, I decided to show the metahuman what he looked like back in the day. So,
oh my goodness. Oh yeah, way before the long hair.
I didn't have glasses back then. I had a lot more hair, but we're okay. We're hanging in there. We are hanging in there.
Oh my goodness.
There's some kids that are all grown up. I still talk to some, and they know I'm here.
Mr. Reiner, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience in regards to life advice or anything you'd like to say to the people who are also thinking about becoming teachers themselves?
Well, you know, we happen to have a first-year teacher.
Right.
She's my next-door neighbor, and she's great. And I try very hard not to interfere with anybody. I'm jokingly on her spiritual advisor, and I just tell her to be consistent. Be consistent with what you say and with what you do, and, you know, make each moment as meaningful as you can. I think that is the secret. It's not about the lesson of the science or the math or whatever it is you're teaching, but maybe there's a way to humanize something to show a higher sense of humanity,
right,
in what it is you're doing. One of my favorite lessons that I do, that I've been doing now for a while, it comes in March, where I turn my classroom into a restaurant. And I am teaching gratuity, which is in our percents chapter. I have turned it into a mixture of autism awareness and the gratuity. Of course, my daughter Courtney has autism, and she is my hero, and you know, she is a big part of my classroom decor, at least on my desk, right? So the training module is called Reiner Diner, which is a subsidiary of Courtney's Kitchen.
right.
So they're working on receipts, because of course we don't use technology in our restaurant like that. Every waiter and waitress has to know how to do it by hand.
Yeah.
And the room is now a restaurant with the red and white checkerboard tablecloths and a little flower and this and that. I give them a little nosh there, but we got to do the work. But along the way, we talk about, you know, you asked me about my inspirations and how I started, but there is that other part, which is the dream, short of winning the Powerball, which would be owning my own little diner, own restaurant, and having Courtney work for me in ways that she could, bussing tables, wrapping silverware, things like that. And we would have not your typical restaurant setup, but more like different rooms for what the public needs. If you have people in your party who are disabled and they want a quiet place,
Right.
then we'll have that section. If you need different lights and different stimulus, we would have that. And we'd have different iPads that you could rent cheap for members of your party who need that kind of extra attention. And all my waiters and waitresses would be trained on being empathetic and understanding and knowing the signs. The problem with people is when you take a person, she's not a kid anymore. When you take a person who looks like a kid to Disney and they're having a meltdown, you get the looks and you get the, oh, what a brat, and you get the, why aren't you being better parent look, right?
Yeah.
But they don't know the story. So it's the same with that when we go to a regular restaurant. I want my restaurant in this dream scenario to be a safe haven for families to come and get good down home food, fan favorites that I love to cook, and feel that no one's going to look at them and judge them wrongfully because they have someone who gets up and goes and visits other people, or is stimming and flapping, or is repeating the same words over and over. There's not enough kindness, especially in the last 10 years, and you know what I'm talking about. He who shall not be named. But if anything, I am that which will stand up for people who have special needs.
Right.
And I want to do that. And so along the way, telling my students, teaching them how, to do a tip and what makes a good tip and why do we tip, we get into the story. And what I have found, especially as I've gotten older and I've had different freedom in the private school, is a lot of times I start off by telling them a story. A quick 2-minute story to kind of bring it to my first set of notes and slides and something to get them excited about wanting to listen more.
Right.
And using metaphor within my story to get them to feel something, to think. It's not always about Courtney, of course, but it's also it could be as simple as, you don't know what other people are going through.
Right.
And before you judge someone, walk a day in their shoes, which I'm very fond of saying. If that same scenario happens where I'm in the restaurant and Courtney's having a moment and someone's looking at me, what I really want to say is not bad words. I basically want to say, if you think you can do better, but I've been at this a really long time. And when we learned that she was autistic at 3.5, there were no rules, the internet and the books and the things. We didn't know anything.
Right.
So in 25 years since then, I've learned a great deal. And it will never be perfect. If you're aiming for perfect, you're going to be disappointed. You know what I aim for? I aim for safe, and I aim for happy. Everything else is gravy. Everything else, Did she have was she safe today? Yeah, no bruises, no accidents. Great. Did she smile more than not? Yes. Did she say anything today? Was she able to wash her hands today and without any supervision? Did she dry her hands? Did she use her napkin appropriately when she ate? Was she galloping and stimming? You know, some people in the group home, they get bent out of shape when she sniffs someone.
Oh no.
Jennifer and I are like, we actually think it's kind of cool because when she sniffs you, means she likes you, means she loves you.
Yeah.
You know, so she oftentimes will be sitting on the couch minding my own business, and she'll come over with her iPad in hand, but she'll lean down and go and sniff my head. And it's cute. I don't care that it's on the naughty list of things, you know, that they're trying to work on. Okay, you can work on it, but I don't think I've ever gotten mad at her for sniffing me. I can understand why sniffing other people in the house might be an invasion of their space. I get it, but it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's not doing it to be bad.
Belligerent.
No, she is an imperfect person, but a perfect soul.
Yes.
And I've said that for the longest time. I'm just a dad trying to do his best to keep her safe and happy in the time that I have left on this ball we called Earth. Not that I'm looking to go anywhere.
Gotcha. Well, Mr. Reiner, thank you for taking the time out of your day to come onto this podcast and saying the good word.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I have recently binge watched a show, Welcome to Derry.
Okay.
Did you watch it yet?
I've watched the first 3 episodes.
Okay. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but when you finish, we're going to have a conversation.
And we definitely will.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
Live long and prosper. Spock.